All right, guys, today's episode proves that in a shifting market, you got to shift your strategy. So we are excited for this episode of The Real Deal. Again, I'm Karsten with Colin & Co.
KJ Hoffman with Proactive Home Loans, mortgage broker.
We're excited to be back. It's been a little while, so we've got a good breakdown today. One of our good friends, Darren, of course, started off the process working with mom's best friend. We know how that goes. Everybody has a friend in real estate. Otherwise, they don't have friends at all.
Wasn't mom's cousin's sister's best friend?
Twice removed. Great
Right.
singing voice, though. And so at the end of the day, we understand that there's a lot of other people in our space, but we would love to be a second opinion because you never know how much it can save you just by, getting an alternative option. And so him specifically, we'll get right into it here. He was looking to be in the East Valley. And of course, the agent they were originally working with, based on his price point, was pushing him all these different directions. And so the first time we sat down, they were just like, look, we're nervous. We want to get a good deal. Everybody does. But what should we do? What would you do? And I said, look, I think we've got a lot of options within your price point. So let's just start exploring. So I met with him, had a great initial chat. And I said, look, I am open to working with other lenders. I've do it before, but I've got the best lender in the game in my back pocket. So I brought him over to KJ, and do you want to share a little bit about how that conversation went?
Yeah, so Karsten did his thing. He got him over to me, which we just work really well as a team. I mean, I think we've been doing enough deals that I know his pain points, he knows my pain points. We both know how we want to get things done and in the manner we want to get things done. Like he said, at the end of the day, the client gets to choose whoever they want to work with. So whatever lender they want to work with, Karsten definitely abides by that. But at the same time, just like all real estate agents aren't created equal, all lenders are not created equal. They were working with someone to start with, and I think it was the preferred lender of the original real estate agent they worked with before Karsten.
Yeah.
And, they weren't overwhelmed by the experience. I think it was just kind of a, ho-hum type of experience. And once I talked to them, after the first initial call, they were just like, hey, this is awesome. You've been super informative. We want to be able to, work with you, and that's how we, really initially got the job done.
Yeah, I think that's how everything starts, right? But what people don't realize is there's so many different ways a purchase can go. So if I sit down with like a buyer 101 call or a buyer consult, I tell them, I don't want to overwhelm you with all the potential things that we can run into. Let's go look at properties, and then based on the properties that interest you, we'll talk about all the different hypotheticals. And same thing with you. It's like, hey, let's not spin our wheels on just like what the interest rates are, because at the end of the day, if we negotiate a hefty concession to bite on interest rate, that conversation's totally irrelevant. So we really like to take an approach of, hey, we're going to get you a good deal no matter what, and that's kind of our track record, and that's why we love the Real Deal podcast. But at the end of the day, we got him a home run deal, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. This house it's funny, in this market today, if it's priced right and it looks clean, like they're getting offers, they might even get multiple offers. But if it's not priced right or presented right or marketed right, it might sit, and we have opportunities to get some juicy concessions on those. But in his case, he had multiple offers, and that was the first time we ran into multiple offers because everything he looked at up until this point was terrible. I honestly, guys, there's some houses where I'm like, I know you like it, but please do not buy this house. And maybe here's why. I want to make sure there's upside. I want to make sure they're getting what they want. And so, long story short, he got this property. It was listed at originally $440. And with multiple offers, we had the conversation of, well, look, concessions will help his out-of-pocket costs. Right. Let's talk concessions real quick, and closing costs. What should we estimate generally for closing costs? And then I think he was $7,500 or so?
Yeah, so first to touch on what Karsten said is he is very good at that. I mean, he's straightforward and blunt, but in a very good way, and I work a similar way. I think that's why we work well together, is he will tell you, hey, this is not the house for you. He's not going to tell you don't buy it. If you really want to buy it, that's your choice, right? Everybody has different opinions, but he's going to tell you, hey, this is what I think based off my experience, based off what I've seen. And he has, I think, dodged some houses that clients are just like, let's do. And he's like, well, let's keep looking, and they found a better option. But regarding closing costs, closing costs are going to be different for every deal. It's going to depend on a few factors. It's going to depend on homeowners insurance, taxes. It's going to depend on how big the loan size is, even what day you close during the month. Like if you close in the beginning of the month versus the end of the month, your costs are going to change. So I like to give people a very just kind of rough idea. typically about 7,000 to 9,000 is what you're expecting for the most part. That's a good average. Sometimes it's going to be higher, sometimes it's going to be a little bit lower, but that's where I go through and say, hey, here's the reason why it's maybe a little bit higher. Maybe your taxes are higher, more is owed at closing. Maybe you're closing earlier in the month, you have more what's called prepaid interest. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but a good blanket number just to kind of have as an average, typically about 7,000 to 9,000 is what you're looking at.
I think that goes to show, like, because there's not just one way of looking at it, it's not the same process every single time.
Right.
We like to approach it very personalized and just, instead of getting them scared, get them excited. It's like, no matter what, our buyers are not paying over appraisal or dealing with that or not taking properties as is.
This one actually appraised over the value, and Carson was able to secure your credit. So, I mean, that's a double whammy. Like, you're getting positive equity immediately right off the bat because it appraised higher, and then also you're getting seller concessions to be able to help towards closing costs, buying your interest rate down. A lot of different things that we can use those for as well.
Right. And so back to the numbers, right? So this property was priced at $440, and I thought it was priced very well. And it's a bigger company here in the Valley. They buy properties, fix them up, relist them, and some people don't want to work with them. I love working with them because honestly, I've always had really good experiences, and I think other agents aren't working with them or steering them maybe a direction they shouldn't. Now, I know most agents won't do that, but maybe it's just the stigma that comes with their name. And so to me, I said, hey, I've worked with them dozens of times. We've had great deal structure. It was priced at $440. We ended up going over $6,000, but asking for $6,000 back. So it kind of covered the out-of-pocket cost.
And that's a super common strategy that we use. And when you break down the numbers, it almost always makes sense because sometimes people are like, well, why would I pay over? And getting those credits back, you can use those to help your out-of-pocket cost if maybe you're pushing yourself of, hey, this is all I have savings-wise, and I want to have a little extra money, or hey, I want to be able to get the monthly payment down. And sometimes the best way to get the monthly payment down is using those credits to buy down the interest rate. And if we do that, a $6,000 difference over the course of a 30-year loan is pennies on a dollar to what you could save when it comes to interest.
Right. So we, of course, personalize the strategy. And in this case, even though we went $446 on the purchase price, it appraised at $450, and I was able to structure a deal where he's pretty much getting all new windows. And windows in a house that are built in the 1980s.
Windows are expensive.
They're super expensive, but I of course know a contractor that could help. So the seller pretty much covered the cost of the replacement of all these windows. That was the biggest problem that we ran into when we did the inspection. Everything else was pretty clean and manageable. So from start to finish, he was able to secure the property, beat multiple offers. It was a very clean home, get all the windows he wanted, get a good clean house that he's not going to have to worry about in a few years needing a bunch of significant repairs. And he also did, because it was a family deal, he did tap into some family funds to get him into this house, right? So that's something people don't realize they can do.
Absolutely. So that's a big thing. Some people realize they can do it. Some people don't even know there's an option, but it's something that I talk to people about all the time, whether they're like, hey, I'm looking for down payment assistance, or hey, I'm just tight on funds, or whatever the case is. You can get a gift from a family member, a friend or family member. Each program is going to have different guidelines. But if you're, hey, I'm short $5,000 from buying a house, I need to save for an extra 3 months. And if you know that, hey, somebody might be able to help me out with that extra money right now, what do we always say? It's better to get into the market rather than sit on the sidelines, right?
And they were terrified of just missing the market, and mom wanted him to get in the house. Mom was very involved in the process, and I love that. Yeah. I'm always working with families. I'm always working with the dads that come to inspection and knock on every single wall and make sure it's a sturdy place, right? Yep. But we've done hundreds of deals, and we're very proud to earn our clients' business and kind of share that there's not just one way of looking at it when it comes to buying a house. So I think we've covered just about everything, but the last thing I want to end on, especially with you, is if you're looking to buy a house, doesn't matter if it's in 2 months or 2 years, it's never too early to get started. Right. You can help build credit. We can help figure out a program for you. So don't hesitate to reach out until your lease is up in 30 days, and then you got to really get into a house that's not a good fit. We want to show you what's out there in the market, educate you, be a part of the process. And so if you're looking to make a move in the next year, again, I'm Karsten. We appreciate you tuning in.
I'm KJ, Proactive Home Loans. See you next time.
Later.